Lisa is our next speaker. If you can unmute yourself at there you go. Beautiful. Lisa, introduce yourself and tell us about what you do, and then we're going to get into, speaking about abundance and soul blaze your way to abundance. I love that.
Yes. Well, I am a life coach. I'm an author, I'm a speaker, and I'm a world traveler. I've traveled to over 60 countries, and I find that to be my juice because when you travel, you really get to meet different people from different cultures. Mm-hmm. And I go to meet my soul family and really immerse myself in something over there. I never just go and hang out. I always find a project or do something. Yes.
So tell me about what you found out when you traveled those 60 countries and interviewed people around the world. Tell me some couple things that are universal, or what you found.
I found that we're all very similar. I remember I went to Iraq when they were bombing and they were so anti-Americans, but I wanted to go find out because I have Middle Eastern roots. My father's from Iraq. So I went there when I was having a nervous breakdown, when not literally, but, feeling like, oh, my life isn't working out. I've got to do a shift. And how can I do this? And I thought, you know what? What's holding me back is the thoughts in my head that are preventing me from moving forward. Right. Because when you grow up in a family that kind of suffocates who you are and says you have to be this way to fit in, it's very hard. So I said, let me go there, find my roots, and cleanse my brain and start taking away things that don't work. Because sometimes when things aren't working, we start adding, I need this, I need that, then I'll be okay. I'm like, you know what, let me release. So I went there and I had so many experiences. I was on a mission to meet Saddam Hussein, but that didn't quite work. But I did meet Taha Ramadan and Tariq Aziz, the vice president.
Wow.
And what happened was, we were in several different places and we saw, riots, and we saw the cameras shooting different crowds of people just to do anti-American things. We hate Americans. So I would go there. I'm American. Do you hate me? Tell me, talk to me. And then they were all so nice, saying, oh, we have to just do that because it's, what we need to do. It's all politics. Oh, come here, Habibi, come eat with us. And, you could eat for free because you're a guest of our country. Mm-hmm. And at that moment the media put so much fear into all of us. And it's happening today. Mm-hmm. When we watch the news, I know I feel so much anxiety and fear, and I'm going, what am I even doing? Why am I even working? Why am I doing anything? What's the point of life? Mm-hmm. Because it seems like everything you want to do just gets squashed. And so going there and meeting our enemies, and they're also lovely, so the people are lovely. It's politics that aren't great. Mm-hmm. And I think that was a strong impression. It left a strong impression because I used to watch the news a lot and believe everything I saw. So traveling to all these different countries, I saw the same feeling. I would just go get off a plane and go, oh, where's my soul family? And try to meet someone. Can I stay with you? Can I do this? If that didn't happen, I would spend the night in a hotel for one night, then go find someone that day, or a group of people, whatever. Or I'd go to, a place that we're having breakfast and with a family and say, oh, can I sit with you and talk, because they were from Oman or they were from Kuwait or from wherever it was. So I felt that family is everything. Knowing who you are matters a lot. Having community is really special. I remember I stayed at City of the Dead when I was in Egypt. And it's, they have coffins for coffee tables and end tables. And it was just a few people threw up tents, and then it became bigger and bigger because of the homelessness over there. Mm. And so I went to stay there to say, who are you guys and who chose to live in the City of the Dead? And what I found was these amazing families, and they all have a lot of children. So each child has a different role. This is the postman. This is the housekeeper. This is the cook. This is the lawyer. Here's the doctor. Here's the plumber. Everyone has something. And staying with this family for a few days, I just fell in love with them. I mean, you sit on the dirt and eat. There's red ants everywhere. The beds are a slab of wood with a thin mattress on it. But the love and the heart and these people and the sense of community. I said, do you guys want to live in America? Is that your dream? You know, so many people come to America. They said, no, we would never want that because Americans are so focused on money. And how much money you have gives you your worth, and you're just striving, working 20 hours a day. I want more money, more money. It doesn't matter. They said, we don't want that. We want enough to live, so we have enough time to pray, enough time to be with our family, enough time to create memories and cook good food, you know? And I just thought, wow, so creating memories, positive memories, and being with community or family was more important. And that just really stuck with me too. And it really helped me change my whole way of life. And when I came back here, I decided, after traveling a lot, let me go get a master's in spiritual psychology because I love spirituality so much. And then during that program, I volunteered to do work in a prison. And in there, it was 4 days working in a all female prison. And these were all lifers. And I thought, let me start interviewing some of these people. So when I was talking with them and coaching them on the very last day, my very last prisoner to work with was the bully of the prison. And she was like, you know, she was the man or whatever. she was it. So, you know, I said, why are you even here talking to me? Because she was so mean to me. And, you know, I don't want to be here. You just get points for talking to people. You know how many therapists I've talked to, you know how many coaches and whatever classes that they have. I'm still me. I'm still stuck here forever because I had jerks hurt me, because she said she was married 3 times and all 3 men like did horrific things to her, putting cigarettes, because like attracts like, where she was at that time, she was attracting that same thing. And after talking to her for a while, and I said, stop that. And I said, let me coach you in a different way. So I mirrored her behavior so she could relate to me. And I was very strong with her. And then she's like, you can't act like that. I'm like, yeah, I can. Can you hear me? And when she started listening to me, I told her, okay, write down these qualities. Who would you like to be? You keep saying you're stuck. And so she wrote down qualities, who she wanted to be. I said, okay. So I asked her a few questions to ask herself every morning. Am I being this person? Or who in the world has these qualities? And focus on that. And she just started crying and said, Lisa, you just soul blazed me, you know? And I just went, oh, that's the name of my company now. You said you had no value. You just gave me a great name to do what I do. And, you know, we both were crying and we held hands. And 6 months later, on the payphone at that time, she raised $75,000 for battered women. And she changed from being the bully to someone who welcomed people. So the people at the prison were saying, what did you do to her? What did you do?
Right. So what I'm hearing like throughout your whole conversation is also about, you know, how we feel about ourselves, how we value ourselves, which is also on Kimberly's talk, and valuing moments instead of getting somewhere and doing, which is what, you know, many women did before COVID. COVID, I think, slowed everyone down to really get into more of that state, because I think many women were like, going to work, they're going to get the soccer, and all the kids were doing all these activities. It's like 100 miles an hour. Moments gone, you know. So can you speak into what you've learned, the value of slowing down, like taking really that, it sounds like to me, simplifying your life in a way to appreciate what you have. It's what I'm kind of hearing. It's kind of what I'm hearing.
Oh, absolutely. And it's so important, because when you're on the treadmill, you think you're accomplishing a lot, but you're just busying yourself and you're not really getting to where you want to go. And that's where you see a lot of failures. When you actually slow down, you could reach your goals. My fabulous editor always says, aim, aim, aim before you shoot, you know, ready, aim, 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 shoot. You don't just throw something out there. I've got to get this done. It's not a checklist. And especially if you're doing something for humankind, when you're trying to write a book or create a webinar or be on a show, you really have to put work into it. To what is the offering? It's not just about, I did it. It's about, what are you giving to someone? How much value does it have? And you can't just whip that up. You know, there's so many people that say, oh, I'm a life coach because they took 3 months of coaching. They, you know, slap, you know, something on the door of this is who I am. So you cannot do that. Slowing down is imperative for mind, body, heart, soul. I'm doing this show for Amazon, which is mind, body, heart, soul, where every morning, if you wake up, which is what I do more now than I did before, because I have the time, even though I have a child I have to take care of now full time. But in the morning, if you just do something for each of them, if you read something spiritual, you know, just do something for your soul, meditate, even if it's 5 minutes, 2 minutes, just start setting those patterns, because then 2 minutes will be 5 minutes, and 10 minutes, and 30 minutes, then an hour. Do something for your body, stretch. So if you just do something for each area, I write down my affirmations and say my affirmations out loud, and I meditate, and I, you know, do 5-minute yoga or something on YouTube. You know, I have a couple that I like, and then if I like it, if I still have more time, I do it, you know, 15 more minutes or whatever. And I try to take a walk at least 3 or 4 days a week and take my daughter with me. But it's very important to set your morning. And if you don't just get out of bed, you know, the Mel Robbins says the 5-second rule, you count to 5, otherwise your thoughts change. You got to like just do it. You can't think about it because your mind will just start taking over. And that's how the imposters was created. You know, which imposter is taking over your life? Yeah, so you have to just train it. And Joe Dispenza says something great. He's like, your mind has to talk to your body like it's your pet. Sit down, don't move. You are not getting out of bed until you visualize your day. So that's a great thing to visualize. How do you want this day to go? Who do you want to be in 1 year? Are your actions for today working for who you want to be 1 year from now? You know, you look at that and is this who I want to be? And you make that happen.
Yeah, I like that. I do that where you make the declaration. You declare it and you ask for it. And I what I found is that, you know, that creating that vision of who is one of the hardest parts for people. They would rather just say what they're not.
Yes.
I mean, they want to say what they're not so easy, but to create a bigger vision, like of who they really want to be, I find, you know, most people have that difficulty with that. And this is where the coaching goes into helping them realize that. So can you speak into that? Can you speak into the vision, and why do you think, you know, our soul and who we are is scared to go bigger?
Well, I think like some things that Kimberly was saying too, it's all happens in our childhood. You're not good enough, or don't be good. I was brought up to never have you go to college just to meet a nice guy, not to actually study, and always pretend you're not as smart as the guy you're dating. And if you make your own money, you have no value, because that means no man wanted to marry you who's willing to take care of you. So it's like all these, you think, oh, that was so funny, Dad, how come you said that to me? And we laugh about it, but it sticks. You know, when a parent tells you something, it stays. And all of us, I think, universally have had parents that have done and said that stuff to us because they're humans and they are parenting the way they were parented or whatever. So we all have our baggage. So when you start collecting these and saying, this is who I am, especially women, it's so hard to shine, especially if you have siblings or if you have friends. If you notice, a lot of them try to keep you down because your success makes them look bad. I've been told that before. Oh, stop. I'm so happy for you, but now look how bad I look. You know, it's like, okay. So I found myself not shining bright because I'm like, oh, let me wait for them to catch up, or let me help them up. And I'm like, okay, you can't help other people climb. You could only do so much, but if they don't want to do it, you can't spend your life doing that. And I've spent so much time doing that. Like, I've got to stop this. Finally, I'm like, okay, what do I want? Who do I want to be? Where do I want to be in 1 year, 5 years, 10 years? Then you find people. And especially during COVID, it's like you are the 5 closest people in your life that you talk to the most. So I'm like, okay, now that I don't see a lot of people, and if you look at your friends, most of them are friends out of convenience because they're colleagues or they're your neighbors or they're family or relatives that you see for whatever reason. So it's like, oh, wow, let me start working on my friendship circles and let me see who I really connect to today. Who am I today? Are they who I want to be a year from now? And not just wasting time with people who are not on your same journey, and not saying all your friends aren't great or you have to get rid of friends, but there's different seasons in our lives. And sometimes you just want to goof off. Sometimes you're a mom and you just want mom friends. And you go, oh, I want a career. You need to hang out with career people. And if you don't do that, there's only so much time in the day. So you have to align yourself with people who are on your road.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, oh, I was just going to say, for me, I have up in my office, I have my role models, of who I want to be. I want to be Anais Nin for this. I want to be Audrey Hepburn for this part. I want, whoever it is, Tracy Chapman, because I want to learn guitar and singing. So it's like, so I have them up. So I look at them every day while I'm sitting here. And then I have my affirmations up where this is who I am, my declaration. So soak it in.
Yes. And I think for everyone out there also is like when we struggle, when people are going through things, people, I don't know. I mean, if I look at, Erica, love your dream. There's all kinds of stuff on my wall too, because it's like when you wake up, I think, and especially during COVID, I'm like here by myself. I have my community, but I need some kind of cheerleader. And sometimes that cheerleader is on my whiteboard.
Yes.
Right? Sometimes that's what I got. And I look at my whiteboard and it says, I finish what I start. I'm like, oh, yeah. Shoot, I finished what I start. I got to get up and go. It's just, you know what I mean? Like, I think that's so helpful for people to hear that we all we all need something. I think visually for me, if it goes in my computer, it's gone.
Me too.
It's like,
yes, it's gone.
I'm producing a show. I'm like, I'm fine. And then I'm like, oh no, I got like 8 people. But if it's on my whiteboard, I'm like, oh, I still need to fill 3 spots. I see it. Right. So it's a constant reminder of
you start taking care of yourself.
Yes.
And if you put timers on your phone for like every hour, stretch for 2 minutes, just have something to remind you, go meditate. I like to do it sunrise and sunset. It doesn't always happen, but sometimes I get close. And when you do that, it's so important because people are just constantly reading and I got to learn. Sometimes it's intuition. I know Steve Jobs said intuition is more important than intellect. Because if you stay out in nature, I remember being in Nepal and Bali for months at a time, and I just soaked in the wisdom. I sat there and talked to rocks for hours and ants. And when you just do that, when you like tune into that, if something amazing happens, you get all these insights and going, wait, I didn't read anything, because we do have everything inside. And I'm a huge reader, don't get me wrong, at least 2 books a month, but you got to go inward. That's where the real juice is, because you're the only you there is on the planet. And only you have your life experiences, and you live through what you live through because you're supposed to give that gift to the world. And I think that's the meaning of life, knowing who you are, knowing what gifts you came here to do, and knowing them and then giving them away. And if you do that, that's what brings happiness. Nothing else brings happiness. You could win all sorts of awards. I know a lot of people who won all sorts of awards. My husband's a, big producer in town, and I know I've met almost everyone, and all these successful people, most of them are miserable. And I'm like, what is wrong with you? You have 3 Emmys, you have an Oscar, you have this. Oh, but it's always something, because they're not connected to themselves. And if you're not connected to you, you cannot connect to someone else. You cannot be your authentic soul. And the whole thing about soul blazing is there's 7 imposters, and the goal is to get to your authentic soul. But these saboteurs just keep coming in, attacking you and saying, that's not true. You're not good enough. Oh, ha, ha, ha. You think you're going to do that? I don't think so. And it's like, swatting them away and just, working, but you can make them your friend too.
Yes. So the authentic soul, how many of us know what that is?
I don't think many people do.
What is that like? What can you go a little deeper into what does that mean, the authentic soul? If you were to really go give us the ooey gooey of it.
Yeah, the authentic soul is who you came to earth to be. It is your soul, your main purpose, your truth, love, meaning, purpose of being on this planet. And it's a way to communicate with yourself and to communicate with others. Once you can do that, if you don't allow your imposters, which have superpowers and they could be your saboteurs,
yes,
so if you don't allow them to keep coming in and getting you off track, your authentic soul knows where it's going. Like, I know who I am and where I'm supposed to go. And sometimes I fail and I'm like, what happened? And it was something from childhood, because we're humans. I do believe we're spiritual beings having a human experience. So we're still humans and we're here to have challenges. But in order to get through those challenges, you have to do the deep work and really know who you are. Otherwise, you're going to keep saying, God, life just doesn't work out for me. Relationships don't work out. People screwed me over. I've been so hurt by so many people. You have no idea what I've gone through. People argue over who's gone through the most. And it's, if you just get in touch and not react and respond to life's circumstances, and nothing really is a big deal. Things are important, but they're not the end of the world. If you don't react and just go crazy on people, your life would work out so much better. Or if you plan, plan who you are and what you want to be, then you're getting more in alignment with your authentic soul, going out in nature every day, meditating, taking time out for yourself, taking whatever you can, if it's an hour a day, or if you could take a trip. None of my trips are just to be a tourist. They're always to go, how can I go deeper and get in touch with my authentic soul? Mm-hmm. What does this place have to teach me? And what can I leave behind? I never want to go to a country and just take, let me buy this and take this. I want to go, what seed of mine can I leave here? And with people, with whoever I meet, I try to bring in my suitcase, the souvenirs from Hollywood, because everyone loves Hollywood. So I could give them to people. If I go to a developing country, I bring medicines or supplies so I could pass those out and share something with them. And it's really a nice way to do it.
Mm-hmm. So yeah. Many of our questions that come in throughout these lives is like about purpose, finding our purpose. Really, how do you do that? Like, what's my purpose in life? And I think it sounded like you started your purpose in life when you released your old life and you decided you're going to go travel, right? So can you speak into what's this conflict with purpose and people? What's going on there? What's the conversation they're having with themselves about it? Go into that with me.
Well, a lot of my clients and people who want to learn what I'm doing, because I was teaching the soul blazing method to people, I want to be a millionaire. I need to make money. And I say, you're not my client and you're not right for the work I do, because you can't just make money. You can't just snap your fingers, or they say, oh, if I take your course, am I going to make $1 million? No, because you're messed up and you have a lot of work to do if that's one of the first things you're coming in here to say. And I could recommend you to other people, but this is not the thing, because in order to find your purpose, you have to find you first. You have to go back to your authentic soul, and you have to go on your hero's journey. You know what Joseph Campbell says, and that is so true. Once I said, okay, I'm Iraqi and all this has been done to me, better or for worse, a lot of positives, negatives, whatever. In our culture, it's very hard to be a woman. And a woman is just really the servant to the man. And anything other than that, you're bad. Oh, if you have any ambition, you're bad. I want to be an actress. And it's like, oh, you can't do that. That's being a whore. That's being this and that. So I moved to LA to be an actress. And then so many of the roles I was getting was, 3 seconds of nudity, 5 seconds of nudity, a wet t-shirt. When you just start out, I'm like, but I did do, sitcoms and whatever, B movies. But I thought, oh, let me quit. And that's when I had oh my God, my whole life I was going to be an actress. I have no idea what to be. You can't be a writer or a producer because you're a girl, So I thought, who am I? What am I? And let me go to Iraq and let me find out who I am outside of what I've been told I was. So once I did that trip, I went into an orphanage, because when I was 16, my dad pulled a gun on me and said, I'm going to send you to an orphanage because I was baking a cake 4 houses down, 3 houses down for a friend at school. And I was home by 5:30, but the street lights were on and you're not allowed to be out. I'm like, oh my God. So I'm crying. And he's like, what are you doing? Are you a whore? I'm like, no, I was just baking a cake. And then he said, send her to an orphanage. So when I was in Iraq, I said, where's the orphanage? So he grew up in Tilkaf, this small town. They're Christian Iraqis. So I went to that town and I went to the orphanage. All they had was a school, a hospital, an orphanage, very small, nothing else, an ice cream truck. And when I walked in, I saw all these children. I'm like, oh my God, they were so precious. And they were saying, you're American. Why do you bomb us? Why do you hate us? Why does the world hate us? My uncle lost his leg. My dad died. My this and that, telling all their horrors. And I just was listening to them. And I said, no, we don't hate you. It's politics. And, all Americans love you. And we're all united. We're all one. So I ended up saying, I'm going to memorialize your words. So I thought, what does that mean? How did that come out of my mouth? Because I didn't do anything at that. So I said, okay, let me go to the next country, because I was going to a couple of countries. I was going to Israel then and Jordan. And I said, let me go to an orphanage there. Let me go to an orphanage there. And then as I was traveling, I got on this mission and I went to 15 orphanages in 5 years and interviewed children. And then I self-published a book called Whispers from Children's Hearts. And then I started submitting it to libraries and schools. And they started going, oh, well, you come speak to kids. Well, you do this. So I created this little program, bringing a globe and bringing fun facts. Like, did you know in Singapore, if you chew gum, you get thrown in jail? These fun things for kids. And then that developed me into a life coach. It developed me into a speaker. I became a bigger traveler because I'm like, oh, after these countries, I want to go more. Where else can I go? So it just started. So I went on my hero's journey. I went to where it hurt. I went to Iraq by myself when they were bombing. So when you take chances like that and say, I am not going to live life as a mediocre person. I'm not going to just get that job that I hate and complain about my life all the time. Then your life shifts. Sometimes you have to take that, that turn. And then when I came back, I got offered to model in Tokyo, through my agent, because I quit acting, but I still had a modeling, commercial agent.
Right.
Who said, okay, I have nothing on my plate. So of course I went to the orphanages there and interviewed the kids there too. But when I was there, I was on a mission to get super healthy and clean. And, and when you go out at night, every time you model, everyone wants to go out and party till 2 a.m. It's just the culture. You go to the clubs and I'm like, I don't want to drink and all that. So I made a joke saying, if someone has given me $50,000, then talk about my movie that I wrote to, or I won't go. And it was just a joke. Oh, there's the girl that won't go out, because I just didn't want to drink and party. So I'm like, okay, bye at 8 o'clock. I'm going home because we had to be up at 4:35 to be on the set and all that. So cut to a couple of weeks later, someone said, I'll give you $50,000. This was in 89-90 when they were loaded with money. Right. I'm like, what? That was just a joke. And then I went out to dinner and he's like, oh, what's your name of your movie? I'm like, Psycho Sushi, just because I think they're crazy and it was sushi, everyone's crazy. And then what's it about, and you just start creating
your purpose,
yeah. And then I went out again, and then they took me to the board, and I said, I need $1 million to create my first film. And they said, well, where's your budget? Where's your script? I said, you don't need that, because I said, in Hollywood, everyone lies. And I said, it's always $1 million budget. Every independent's $1 million. So I just need $1 million. They fudge the numbers, but it always shifts. Then they're always going to come back and say, I need another 200,000 or so, because it always goes over.
So it sounds like, you just kind of released what wasn't working, went out there, did your hero's journey, and just embraced the opportunities that came your way. And
but it's not even embracing, it's finding them.
Yeah,
I did not
finding them.
know that that was going to happen. I went there to model, and it's like, oh, you can make 30 grand in 3 months. Fantastic. I could use that right now. But then I just thought, oh my God, everyone's drinking so much. I don't want to do that. But in doing that and being, again, your authentic self,
Right.
then finding humor so you're not insulting anyone else, because everyone can do what they want to do. Everyone's in
Sure.
different stages, whatever. And then it just turning it into a fun game. Because if I went there saying, hi, I'd like to present this, I'd like to,
Right.
I would have gotten nowhere. So it's sometimes in the play, and when you're not your authentic self, you don't know how to play. People
Right.
forget humor. Everyone takes themselves so seriously, or think they have to prepare so much for something. But sometimes when it's meant to be and it's part of who you are, it's about just showing up in a different way.
Right.
You know what I mean? You don't have to wear that business suit and, give the card. I studied international finance. They said, get your business card and hand it like this and bow a certain way. I didn't do any of that. I just said, you're missing out. If you don't want to invest, I'm going to let someone else invest, and you're missing out. They said, well, why should we invest? You have never done a movie before. I said, this is why. I said, you guys live boring lives. You need to, this is going to be, you get to spend a year in America.
Right.
So if you get to do that, you get to tell your grandchildren stories. So
all right. So I'm going